Some might not remember Mike Huckabee.
Well,
Arkansas.
the father of Sarah Huckabee Sanders, who was the spokesperson for the Trump White House for a while, and now is the Ozempic'd out governor of Arkansas, and, which her father was.
Yeah. So dynastic in that regard. He's now. People might not know, and shout out to Huckwatch, the Not Even a Show Twitch channel, who does regularly watch this, which is Mike Huckabee basically doing Jay Leno, and this is the start of his monologue here, and. It's,
oh God!
It's usually supposed to be funny, but this is very defensive, and I would just say, like, you're gonna see, like. They should have just taken it from the top and cut.
But do you remember the Santa stand-up that we covered?
Yeah. Also,
I just had a flashback.
Originally seen on Huckwatch, but yeah, here is this Mike Huckabee, defending Trump from some meanies.
Okay, last week you may remember I let you hear Kamala Harris speak for herself on issues ranging from Israel, abortion, the border, crime, and the economy. I didn't just tell you what she has said over the years. I played the tape of her saying it. Now, you need to know what a vote for her will mean to your life, your family, and your values. Well, this week we had that little event going on in Chicago, the Democrat National Convention. I know you've just enjoyed every moment of it because it was so filled with joy, right? Seriously? I mean, we have been treated to a multi-night broadside accusing Donald Trump of pretty much everything from racism to grand theft. I mean, there was really nothing new in the accusations. But I got to be honest, it's wearing a little thin that a party that pretends that it hates Donald Trump for name-calling would spend 4 consecutive nights with a scripted narrative that did little but call Donald Trump every name of the worst kind. From having been around him, I can assure you, it did not melt him into the pavement with fear or hurt feelings. It just didn't. But I do hope those people, the ones who say...
Do you see what I'm saying about this? Like, how pathetic it is?
Yeah.
The punchlines are hitting at every moment.
I mean, what are you talking about?
Jokes everywhere.
Could you imagine if this was actually in front of a live audience? I assume that's canned laughter because.
So they're definitely, you can see these Huckabee screenings and go to them, but I do definitely, it does feel artificial. So I think they're pumping it a little bit here. Or
they're Atlanta Falconsing it. They got caught artificially pumping crowd noise into their stadium because they don't have a lot of people that go to those games.
But I think you are hearing a few people who are like. I'm expecting
a live show. It's probably just the production staff laughing. Honestly, like
no, they have a crowd. They have a crowd and they sell tickets. Because
then I definitely need to go.
Yeah, they
it's
show
not
the
Arkansas,
crowd shots. It's around I believe Nashville. But and I think some of the people are like trying to laugh because they're like, hey, this is the funny monologue at the top of the show, right? And instead it's just like Trump didn't have his feelings hurt. He just didn't.
And also the whole thing is based on a straw man. Democrats don't hate Trump just because he does name calling. No. I hate to break it to Mike Huckabee, but I kind of enjoyed that about Trump.
Yeah, it's funny
especially in the primary. I like that we're doing it to him.
Yeah, and also the cat ladies. But go on, Bradley.
Well, no, because he's
name of the worst.
Sorry, Brandon. Go ahead.
Having been around him, I can assure you.
Go ahead, Brandon.
I was just saying no, because it's funny because it upsets them because they're very sensitive about being thought of as weird.
Yeah.
Because that's part of their big, despite how weird they are, that's part of their big self-conscious ego thing, that they're the heart of America. They're the silent majority. They're the ones who are really representing the people, even though half of them are arguing online about like jiggle physics and video games every other week. They're convinced that's like the table issue that middle America is concerned about. So to call them weird, it upsets them so much.
Yeah, they took Babs Bunny's giant boobs away, and now I'm really upset.
Yeah, that's it. Like they took
the M&Ms aren't hot anymore.
Yeah,
they're not hot because they took her from a 3-inch heel to a 2-inch, and so I don't know. Like, is she a man now? It's like, neither. She's an M&M. She's a candy.
We're gonna see hourglass figure though.
Consecutive nights with a scripted narrative that did little but call Donald Trump every name of the worst kind. From having been around him, I can assure you, it did not melt him into the pavement with fear or hurt feelings. It just didn't.
Great.
But I do hope those people, the ones who say they wouldn't vote for Trump.
Try to follow this.
Because he says mean things. He calls people's names. I would say get over your petty hurts and realizes that what he does, he calls people's names in part to point out the hypocrisy of those whose over-the-top hatred of him is frankly irrational and for the most part unfounded. Over the next few months, you're
okay. So wait, he preempted their name calling by name calling at the beginning of, when he ran in 2016. He knew that they would call him names in the future. So it's actually subversive that he did name calling in 2016 because he's so prescient that he would know that he would get made fun of in 2024 by the Harris campaign.
Yeah, I'm not even sure what he's trying to say. He says, so I would say to you who were offended by Trump's name calling, who are, I guess, presently enjoying the name calling of...
Right.
But then he says, but Trump was doing it for a good reason, unlike you guys who are doing it for meanie reasons, basically. Okay, just let it run a little bit more, Bradley. I don't know if everybody else enjoys this as much as I do, but I like to see an old man just completely spin at the end of his yarn.
Of those whose over-the-top hatred of him is frankly irrational and for the most part unfounded. Over the next few months, you're going to hear mostly the same list of utterly nonsense hoaxes that have been long debunked, even some debunked by liberal fact checkers and media outlets. Now, the staff writers who work with me publishing my twice daily newsletter have compiled the top 10 corrections to lies about Donald Trump you heard this week.
We won't get through this whole list, don't worry.
I thought you might enjoy hearing those top 10. Here they are. Number one.
Oh my
Trump's
God.
2016 campaign did not collude with Russia.
I'm sorry. He's doing Letterman. He's doing Letterman.
Yeah.
Letterman would do the top 10 countdown.
Yep. No, it's funny. It's as funny as Letterman, too.
But he's doing it in the reverse order as a list.
But it's different when the huckster does it.
But what's funny about this is, like, it's also bad politics because why are you playing defense on all this stuff?
Why are you doing I am not a crook for Trump in list form?
The top 10 times there,
top 10 things people are saying about this very polarizing figure. I'll list them for you.
I think it's because a lot of the things that people are saying, because I feel like this is aimed at Republicans, not so much Democrats. This is aimed at the Republicans who are the, I guess, handful of them, those suburban women who are upset at the name calling and all of the rape allegations and all of the convictions for various felonies and court cases, that they should just get over that and vote for him anyway. And that's why they're playing this kind of defense. I always think it's a mistake to elevate attacks against somebody, especially because some of these people aren't going to be familiar with. It's like when Elizabeth Warren, when she was running, was like, I am not schizophrenic. And that's misinformation. And I was like, I had not heard that before.
Or I am not a witch. Remember that woman who was running? Christine O'Donnell.
O'Donnell, yep.
Yeah.
Sorry, I lost my train of thought thinking about Christine O'Donnell. But the thing about this top 10 list is there are things that I didn't even hear about Trump. So it's like it is like letting you know things that Trump like the Arlington thing. I haven't really followed that closely. Like it's just like putting the stuff into the discourse that you could just go on the offense,
right?
But you're playing defense.
Number one, Trump's 2016 campaign did not collude with Russia.
Okay.
In fact, the government wasted $30 million of our tax money investigating that groundless accusation and found it wasn't true.
Democrats are barely mentioning this now.
Donald Trump did not incite his followers to riot or attack police officers on January 6th of 2021.
Okay.
He actually told them to protest peacefully and patriotically. And after the riot started, he urged them to obey the police and leave quietly. He also urged Nancy Pelosi and the mayor of D.C. to let him send 10,000 National Guard troops that day, and they both refused.
That is...
Number three.
He was sitting on his ass.
Trump did not try to grab the wheel of the presidential limo and force his driver to take it to
Bradley. This is like
so obscure.
Exactly. If I was like trying to just remind people of all the dumb shit Trump did, I would write this top 10.
Like people don't even remember this allegation that apparently the Secret Service said that he tried to grab the wheel to turn around the car, right? To go to the Capitol with those guys.
It up.
Exactly.
Yes. To go with the mob. He wanted to lead the mob as the president, like into the Capitol, and they said no, it's too dangerous.
And we'll stop indulging this in a second, but I do like Huckabee here letting kind of his dashed hopes of being president himself come to the surface here, Bradley.
We should also point out, if people don't remember, he was a failed presidential candidate.
Yep.
But now he's doing love.
And they both refused. Number 3. Trump did not try to grab the wheel of the presidential limo and force his driver to take him to the Capitol on January 6th. Of all the nutty things, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I've been in the presidential limousine with presidents before. I always wanted to ride in it as the president. That never really worked out.
Okay.
But I've been in that car
Laughing at him.
with the dude who's the president on several occasions, more than one president. And I got to tell you, you can't jump up from the back.
Oh my God!
To
All
the front
right.
seat.
He's unlocking things we had to debunk like 3 years ago, and now I'm remembering. It's because he was in an SUV. He was not in the limousine. He was in an armored SUV, so he was able to do that. This is what they were trying to say in 2021. Does he know what year it is?
It's also,
well, that's a good question.
As long as you're right-minded about Donald Trump, if you're not somebody who's constantly running interference for him or like a QAnon weirdo, a lot of these accusations, they just sound true if you are being honest about his temperament. So I don't think this is the right way to handle dispelling these myths, if only because if you're just a casual listener to the Huckabee show or whatever this is called, and you hear like Trump didn't try to grab the wheel of the limo, I think to myself, yeah, he probably did.
Yeah,
maybe not that time.
No,
maybe not that time.
Honestly, those guys, like, they would be like, hell yeah. Yeah, his support,
he should if he wanted to support us.
Right. It's like when you point out that he's a liar, his voters are like, yeah, we like that. He lies for us. That's what they say. Everyone else is a liar. He lies for us. That's how they feel.
Yeah, I do think there's still like a contingent, and maybe they're the ones who watch the Huckabee. Like maybe Huckabee is not so viewed by the more radical right wing version of the Republicans. Maybe he still has a lot of like center right, like propriety Republicans, like in his circles that are bringing this stuff up as turnoffs, like red flags about Trump, and so he's tired of hearing about it because I don't hear about any of this stuff from Democrats or Republicans. This must just be things he's heard in his suburban rich person, ex-politician neighborhood from like other Republicans about like, I don't know. He's just a little like out there.
You hit the nail on the head. He's hearing it at the country club.
Yeah, it's so defensive. I think people don't get this defensive about stuff they heard online unless they have very thin skin. This is like people in my circles are saying this, and I'm tired of it.
I would love to know how specific Mike Huckabee gets in this list. Like, is he going to cross the line over to like, Trump once privately told me he would lock up all suburban women if he could. But now that I think about it, now that I'm really thinking about it, I don't believe he actually said that to me. I just made that up.
Exactly.
Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.